So Leonardo, welcome and thank you for taking the time out. Congratulations on that 750, Q49, V44. That's like a really good quant score, really good verbal score.
Thank you, thank you.
The quant, especially from someone who's not a native speaker, to get a V44 is incredible. To improve to Q49 from your Q46 in your first attempt is also incredible. So you must be really, really happy.
I am. Thank you. And a lot of this was due to the e-GMAT course. I mean, the approach for sentence correction, mostly the free webinars for verbal, and for quant, which I needed some more help to approach GMAT quant. I'm an engineer, but I didn't score very well on the first test. I used a lot the Scholaranium and the very detailed tips that you have there. So it was really important to get.
So when did you start preparing for GMAT?
I started preparing on May for my first test on August, but I didn't really focus that much. I mean, I was watching videos, taking like a few questions per week, but not a lot of hours. I mean, 50% or even more than 50% of my preparation for my August test was on the week before or 2 weeks before the test.
Okay.
So some time out of work, I work like 55 to 60 hours per week. So it's very hard for me to actually be able to focus. But when I took some this week out, I could really focus, but I didn't score so well. I got 710 and my quant score was 46, which is not what I was expecting. I was simulating 720, 700. And then on the actual GMAT, I got 710. And I was like, whoa, I can do better than this. But it was too close to the deadline. So I applied to one school. And then later on December, I used more of the GMAT preparations, and I took many simulated tests. I tried to do exactly as I would do in the test. I even bought the little yellow notebook to simulate as the testing conditions. I took exactly the 8 minutes breaks, and I had the exact same snacks that I would have in the exam. And then I got really comfortable with the exam, and then I think I did pretty well. I improved both scores.
So I think let's kind of talk about 3 points there. Okay, the first point that I want to talk about is so you got 710 in the first attempt. You had a Q46 V41 from the data that I have.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Right, and then what did you do between your first and second attempt, and kind of overall, whatever you studied, how did that improve your overall comfort level with either quant or verbal?
Yeah, so I think that I was always very how can I say, even though English is not my first language, I was always comfortable with English language in general, and the critical reasoning part was always easy for me. But I realized the sentence correction is not something that you can just do it without the whole approach. I think the basis for my sentence correction path from the first test to the second test was a PDF from e-GMAT, which is regarding how you shouldn't just use your intuition, because if you do that, you're just not approaching the regular way. So I tried to use the approach to first actually read and pre-think the answer, and then later, after I already realized what is actually wrong in this answer, then I go to the options. And I think that was the most fundamental thing for my verbal score. And my verbal score was what got me the 750.
I'd say the quant score also had an equal contribution, though there was more headroom there. But Q46 to Q49, even though it's just 3 points, I think it's a fairly significant improvement. So Leonardo, as someone who has a Q49 versus Q46, what do you think is the difference in that student?
Oh yeah, so for the quant part, I used mostly the Scholaranium tests, and I realized, because I have a strong math background. I mean, I'm an engineer, but GMAT math is not like regular. You gotta be simple. You gotta try to find shortcuts, and if you cannot. I remember in my first test there was one question that it took too long, even though I practiced, and I thought, okay, I gotta give up on some questions. But on the actual test, I ended up taking too much on one question, and I was like, okay, I gotta give up. I gotta do what I actually can, try to focus more on the first few questions, and I gotta be really prepared. So I did most of the e-GMAT verbal math videos, and this is pretty much what I did from August to December. I just practice and practice and practice, solving questions within the 2 minutes or even less than that. And after each test and after each Scholaranium session, I would stop and review everything. And I needed to do exactly as it would be the most efficient way to do that kind of question. And then when I would find something a little bit similar, I'll try to do that approach. And if I got a mistake, I would do it again.
So you mimicked the approach, you followed the process. Did you do more of looking at the question again and absorbing the information before you just started solving everything?
Even for
Quant.
Depends actually. It's because some questions for me, I didn't really I knew exactly what I had to do.
Yes.
I mean, for probability and this kind of thing. So I mean, I fully evaluated, but I did it quickly. Like data sufficiency questions, I could clearly see how to do the 5 steps approach. And so I don't think I did so much of that for Quant. That affected me more on, maybe I could do better in Quant if I did that. I don't know.
It does feed some of those mistakes out. Yeah, so I think it'll be interesting if you ever consciously did Quant as you did verbal, because you've done amazingly well in verbal. So let's talk about another aspect. You said you're someone who works 60 hours a week, right? And so how did you find time to study?
So my main approach was...
Hold on, but before you also answer, I want to add some, I want you to set some context. Do you have a personal life, a wife, a girlfriend, a boyfriend?
Oh yeah. I have a girlfriend. She actually lives in the US. I met her when I was studying abroad in the US. I went to Philly. I stayed there for 1 year. And she's Korean. So we had a long distance relationship for we are 5 years already together.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
It's possible to do that with long distance relationship. And we always talk to each other every day. We have a really strong schedule because of the time zone differences. And even though I had that and the 60-hour week, I managed to study. Especially during the weekends, you just gotta have discipline. But still, even doing that, I could only study like 3 hours per week or 5 hours per week, which is not enough. So my approach was to take this week out of work before each test, and this was the most fundamental thing for me to actually be able to do simulated tests and simulate actual testing conditions.
Okay. So during the weekend and when you took those 4 to 5 hours or 6 hours, did you plan in advance when you're going to study, or was it like, okay, let's study today or let's not study today or something?
Oh, no. I always had 1 day per weekend, which depended on the other schedules that I would have. Sometimes I have to work during the weekend too, so it depends on that. It would depend on that. So if I had enough time to take a simulated test, I would do that. And if I didn't have, I would do only the Quant part, which is what I needed the most help with. And after reassessing which questions I got wrong, and even if I got something right but out of guessing or without doing the actual approach, I would focus on that, on the theory, the lessons. How should I approach that question? And this was my process. I would always try first in a simulated environment, and then I would use the feedback to find which parts I should improve. And that's what I kept doing every week. And
Okay, that is really good. Did you use the solutions on Scholaranium then to kind of figure out where you need to improve?
Oh yeah. Both on Scholaranium and on the regular questions, also for the official guide, and also for like each section for e-GMAT Quant, like the algebra and geometry. There are a few questions and quick quizzes with really detailed solutions. Those videos were the main things for me, I think, to actually understand how to approach the questions. And so I use most of that, I think.
Okay. So let's talk about the exam piece. You said, you really simulated the exam conditions. You bought the the scratch pad, you ate the same snacks. I'm assuming you also took the exam in the same time slot that you actually took the test in.
Oh, I tried to do that the most I could, but it didn't go so well because it depended so much on my work. But I tried to imagine that I was in the same time spot, and then I just redid.
So how did you simulate? I mean, in terms of, did you take those tests at your house? But I mean, how did you create an office like or a workstation like environment? So do you have a setup like that?
It's not exactly, I mean, I have like guards around it, so it's not exactly so testing conditions friendly, but I'm very, I could focus and there is noise, which also happen in test site. Okay. So I figure I gotta be able to do this even if there is someone loud or if there's like an ambulance passing by, I gotta be able to do this test, any condition. So I try to use this as disturbance for my practice. And that's how I approached it. I did it at home only, and yeah.
Okay. And so when you went to the center the second time, and after having taken so many simulated tests in a very similar environment, so what you said there was a certain comfort factor. Can you describe that experience while or the benefit that this brought to you when you took the actual test?
Oh yeah, I think when you are very prepared to take the test, even in uncertain conditions with noise and other disturbances, and you know exactly what to do at exactly what time, it makes you so much more comfortable. Because sometimes, I mean, the person that is administering the test, he or she would not like be so ready to get you back to your seat after the 5 or 6 minutes. So, and that would cause me some nervousness during my first test. So I realized I gotta be able to do that even in a smaller time frame. I gotta do what I have to do, drink water, do whatever I have to do, and then come back in smaller time frame. And so I think this easiness of being prepared was fundamental to give me comfort during the test. But when I was in the test, I felt like I was at home. I was like doing just another one, which was even easier because it didn't have disturbances. So it was like, okay, let's do this. When I saw the ending score, I was like, whoa, I can't believe this is for real. It's official.
I can imagine that. Yeah, I absolutely agree with what you're really saying. I mean, I used to run before. There was a time when I was just too much work and I stopped running. And as you grow older, it becomes difficult to resume things. But I resumed running. And one of the things that I did was yesterday I went for a run when I was in not the best physical condition. But because I had done the same track, a couple of times before, I said, oh, I can do that. I've done this before. And essentially, I took about 4 minutes longer, but I was able to do it consistently, and so I absolutely agree with what you really said. I mean, you simulate the same conditions or you do the same things, and if you do it precisely in the same way, that confidence is also there that you can do it, and I think that's a huge thing in making sure that your mind keeps on going.
Yeah.
Overall. So let's talk about applications. So you said you applied to MIT with 710. Right, and you didn't get a response from them.
I don't think the GMAT was the word. I mean, maybe because of I'm South American and Brazilian, and I figure for some other backgrounds it could be even harder with this GMAT. But I don't think it was the main cause. I mean, I rushed my application. I didn't do as well as I could. But it was good to be rejected so that I could prepare a lot more for my next applications. Okay. So now for round 2, I'm applying to this other few schools.
You said Tepper and you said Kellogg, Chicago, Wharton and GSP Chicago?
Exactly.
Okay. And did you also mention Stern?
Oh yeah, I didn't finish. I didn't submit it.
You're going to submit the application for Stern. Okay. And so you've been using Applicant Lab for these applications.
Oh yeah, she's incredible. Maria is the most. Thank you, Rajat, for finding this incredible person in your webinars. It's just incredible. I think I would never be able to get the interview invite for Tepper without her help. She's incredible.
And I want to talk a bit about your experience with using Applicant Lab. So it's a very different way of approaching admissions consulting. And so when you started using the tool, so you attended the resume webinar first, and you kind of got to know Maria a bit. But then when you started using the tool, how did that simplify the overall experience?
Oh, I'm very used. I mean, for GMAT preparation, as I told you, like all these mock tests, I took like the official tests from GMAT and also from other companies. I tried to use the resource to the most that I could, so that I could be better prepared. And I found it really hard for me that there was no such thing for MBA application. I mean, you don't have so easy access or so many different possibilities for that I mean, before Applicant Lab, you wouldn't have. You don't have like a whole lot of data that you can just dig into and get ready for each of these things that are evaluated in the application by the AdCom. So Maria allows us the full extent of the knowledge that she put in that whole platform. So instead of just like trying to find someone that would explain to you in many hours for each one of them, I can just like go for the things that are actually important for me. I can be a lot more efficient. She has videos for every school. She has tips for every single part, for like how to establish your career vision, how to work with your YMBA, what are the important parts, what are important parts for this school, what are the traits that they are looking for. I mean, I didn't use other consultants. I used only one for reviewing my Wharton essay before I submitted. And I also talked to her after my MIT team to see what was I doing wrong. I think Applicant Lab with some, how did she call it? It's like a strategy check, just a sanity check, just to see if I'm just going a totally wrong way. I think this is the thing that Applicant Lab misses. If you're just doing it by yourself, maybe you're going in the wrong direction, and there's no one to tell you, hey boy, no, don't go this way. Just try looking this way. So the 30 minutes call that I had with her was all that I needed, besides the platform. It's really incredible.
Okay. All right. And so you're applying to Stern. You're applying to you said one more school.
Yeah, so now I'm only applying for Stern, and I already applied for Tepper, Wharton, and Chicago.
So Tepper, Wharton, Chicago, you applied. Tepper, you have an interview call. Wharton, Chicago was just, this was all in January, right?
Oh yeah, January 3rd.
January 3rd, and you already have the interview call from Tepper. And then, so 5 schools for $300, I think that's a pretty good deal.
Huh?
5 schools for $300 plus the 30-minute call with Maria. I think that's a pretty good deal.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I was so astonished by how much the consultants would charge for an hour. I was like, whoa, maybe an MBA is better if I can just go work on consulting later on. I mean, seriously. But yeah.
A lot of people who do the MBA, I mean, a lot of the other good consultants are MBAs from top schools. And so is Maria. So,
yeah, but I think your approach, I mean, e-GMAT is very similar too, right? I mean, the company that you founded with all those resources and videos that are really meticulously created, and then not only one student or 30 students would watch it, you just make it available so that a lot more people can be reached. So you scale your business with that, and you also help a lot more people. I think it's a great a business model.
It is also, I think, it gives purpose to you in that regards, where, and you're right, it's very meticulous, and it takes a lot of effort, but that effort is worth it when you really, so the 2 ways to look at something. For us to create 1 hour of content is about 100+ hours of effort.
I can totally say,
hey, this is a lot of effort overall. But then on the other hand, when you really say, hey, to create that 1 hour of content would be viewed by about 10,000 people, right? So that's less than a minute of effort per customer, or that's 20 seconds of effort per customer.
Yeah.
So that's the other way to look at it, and that's what you would say, hey, let's kind of try and make it better, because the effort per customer is essentially a lot less when you think about it.
I have to congratulate you for your business. I mean, it's the videos are just perfect. I mean, exactly the best example that can get you to understand that efficiently. Your instructors are incredible. I think you found the best people to work with and create this content, the best instructors. So congratulations for making such an incredible content.
I think you kind of got that right. So it's the people who make the difference, and I mean, it's very difficult to get good people. It's very difficult to get diligent people. It's not about getting the best people, because frankly, quality is effort first, and then excellence, because excellence is built. And so we found people who are smart, but who are very diligent, and who won't give up till they really say that, hey, this is something that I'm satisfied with. And I think finding those people, that's very challenging in today's world.
I can see that too, but when we find some of those people, I have a few in my company too, and everything just goes and flows so well.
Yeah, you want to make sure they stay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that part is there. Well, Leonardo, is there any way I can help you with?
Well, I don't know. Do you have any tips for my applications, for the interviews? Anything from my background that is still on my resume that I should be watching, or my posting vehicles? Anything that from your experience you would say, hey Leo, baby, you should focus on this, you should research that? I don't know.
I would just say this. I mean, what you've done so far seems to be working. I would say definitely do a couple of mock interviews. That is something that I would really recommend. I mean, if you can afford a mock interview with Maria, do that, is what I would really say. An interview is a huge part of your application. And not just that, an interview is a huge part of B schools liking you, which means it's a huge part of your scholarship, especially with your GMAT score. So you are in that bucket where they consider you for scholarship. And so what GMAT score does is it puts you in that consideration bucket, but the weight in the consideration bucket comes from the interview. So it's like, how much do we like this guy?
Did you get you went to Babson, right?
Yes.
Did you get a scholarship? How was
I had a full scholarship. I didn't pay a dime for my MBA.
That's good.
So I actually didn't pay a dime for my master's. I have a master's in technology as well, in chip design, and that was actually fully funded. I got paid to study. So so paid reasonably well. So but I think it's the interview that matters. So when I think about my master's, my master's was sponsored by Nokia, the phone company, which was very big then. And the reason they chose me, and I was among the two students who were chosen from India, was because of my interview. So that's why I'd say make sure you are well prepared. Make sure the way you practice for your mock tests, where you're comfortable answering a question, in the same way you should be comfortable articulating. And you are someone who articulates things well, and who structures things really well. So just make sure that for the interview questions, you actually have a very similar comfort level.
Yeah, I think I gotta focus on how to be more efficient on what I answer, not to.
I mean, you don't need to be super efficient. You have to be structured well, is what I would really say. I mean, what you're really saying should make sense. You shouldn't be going tangents, which you don't. The discussion that we've been talking. I mean, see, here's the thing. Sometimes people go tangential to show their passion for things, and that's kind of okay as long as you
It
know,
doesn't go too far.
yeah, you don't go too far. So I mean, it's, as I say, you want to go from A to B, you can go like this a bit, but you shouldn't go like this, and this, and that really then loses the listener.
Yeah, this is what I need to practice, I think. Do you have any suggestions or any people that you would recommend for this mock? I mean, I see on GMAT Club there's mock TBD for Wharton, team-based discussions. I'm not sure how that is. Did you apply for Wharton?
Uh, I Yes, I did apply to Wharton. So for
Did you
me,
get an
remember,
interview?
you're talking about someone who actually applied in. So my application story is a bad one where
Why?
so when I applied to business schools, I lived in Germany. Okay, and in Germany, the way you speak English is literal translation of German to English.
Yeah.
So, and this is, we're talking about 2003. There were absolutely zero admission consultants. There was absolutely zero knowledge on how to write a B school essay.
Whoa.
There was just one book available on how to write business school essays. This was a very different world.
My
So,
gosh.
there were the word editors, the grammar checkers weren't as great. Okay, the way we have right now. So I applied to Harvard, Wharton, Kellogg in R1. Okay. I got interview invites from Kellogg. I think I got an interview invite from Wharton. I didn't do as well. But then the rejects, as in your case, makes you rethink. So I didn't get into any school in round one. Then and I had a great GMAT score. So GMAT score wasn't an issue. So in round two, I rethought my strategy. Again, there was no admission offices. I mean, in Germany, none existed at that time. And
There was no Skype to help you to connect with
there
them.
was Skype, there was Yahoo Chat.
Uh,
It's just the internet wasn't as pervasive, and even today, when I speak to a lot of admission officers, they have these dummy websites or admission consultants. They have these dummy websites, but people just come to them because they know someone who's applying, who's studying at a business school, and he used that admission consultant. It's a lot of the admission consulting industry. A lot of it is word of mouth. Okay. For example, there are about 2 or 3 famous admission consultants that I know of from Brazil. A lot of Brazilian people go there. Okay.
Yeah. Can I ask you the names? I'll probably heard about one of them at least.
I will send the names to you. These are members of AJAC.
Okay.
Okay, and one of them is the founding member of AJAC.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I know which one you're talking
about. Okay, you know which one I'm talking about then. So so essentially, so in R2, I changed my approach, and then I got invited and I got accepted into every school that I applied to.
Oh.
It was a complete turnaround.
Which schools did you apply besides?
So in R2, unfortunately, the schools that were left were GSB Chicago. Thank God I didn't apply to it in round one. UNC Keenan Flagler. Mm-hmm. Then ASU, Babson, and I think there was one other school that I applied to. Mm-hmm. And again, just to really take the level of ignorance, I had no idea about Ross. I had no idea about Tepper. I didn't apply to Stern because I didn't want to go into the finance aspect of things. So these are the 4 schools I applied to round 2. I got into all. I got full fellowships from Babson and ASU. And actually from ASU, I was even going to get a stipend of $1,200 a month to study over there. Mm-hmm. So, but I love the culture at Babson.
Yeah, I mean, the entrepreneurship.
They're very entrepreneurial. And it's just the community is very vibrant over there. Or it was during my time. I don't know about the community right now. Mm-hmm. So, so, I mean, but when I think about it, one thing that I tell people is, your first submission should not be to your best school.
Oh yeah,
your first submission is never going to be your best submission.
I'm so glad that I was going to apply for Wharton, which is my dream school, on round 1, but that was crazy thing. Less than 24 hours before my TOEFL test, which I got 115 out of 120. I took it later because it was canceled. I mean, they just canceled it, and the next available date would be too close to the round 1 deadline, so to get my score back. I mean, I could have planned earlier. I could have put it a little bit earlier to give some chance. But I was like, no, how would the TOEFL test be canceled? But it was canceled, and it was actually good because if I had applied to Wharton with
That application,
that I
yes.
had, I'll probably be dinged, and I would have to wait for another year.
Here's something that I kind of looked at it. The application that I submitted to GSP Chicago. So my dream school was Tuck. I really loved, again, the culture over there.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first application I applied to. That was I attended an MBA fair. We used to have MBA fairs even then.
In Germany?
And that was the only school that I went and spoke to the officers from. So they remembered me. Wow. But my application to Tuck was so horrible. And I read it in January after my application to GSP Chicago. I said, and they waitlisted me. Said, please apply next year. I think you need to be a bit more mature. And I was 22, 23 at that time. And when I read my application, the application that I submitted to Tuck in January, so I think I submitted it on 8th of October or something. I was like, how the hell, it was so bad. It's like, how the hell did they even waitlist me based on the application? It's like, they must be generous if they waitlisted me based on this application.
Yeah, they were able to read through your
it was just reached at a level of maturity when you do 7 or 8 applications and you say, okay, I understand what business schools are looking for right now.
Yeah.
And so just that's one of those, the resources weren't there and there was very little guidance available, but that's one thing that I really tell as an individual yourself, you also mature by the time you write your 3rd application because you reevaluate yourself with that much more diligence.
No, it makes total sense. I hope so. That's why I would take your advice and I would get to my interview being my 5th interview after doing some mocks. I'll do that. Thank you for it.
Yes. Well, good luck, and please do keep in touch and let me know how things go.
I would do a really great review after my NYU application. About the whole process and especially how e-GMAT helped me. Not only with GMAT thing, but even for Applicant Lab. I mean, if it wasn't for both things, I would never have a chance to get the interview that I got.
Perfect. I appreciate that, and do let Maria know as well.
Oh yeah. I told her already. I told her how incredible she is. She's great. I'm so thankful that you guys built these 2 companies before my application. It's perfect. Thank you.
We are very glad that you found it useful. Thank you very much. Good luck and prepare well for your interview.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry for taking more time for your...
That's all right. That's okay.